Welcome back to Sanctuary Cove. Scott, we're talking about driving the ball today. And great interview we just did with Sergio, and thanks for following up with that. We also caught up with Boo Weekley during the Players' Championship a few weeks ago. Here's what he had to say about driving the ball.
Well, I'd had to tell him, look, pick your target down the fairway there and, allow yourself. So if you pull it just a little bit or you hook it just a little bit, you got plenty of room on the left. And kind of the same thing if you cut the ball. If you push it or if you, cut it just a little bit, you still allow yourself that little bit of air and room, That's the easiest thing to do is just pick your target and say, okay, if I started here, I've hit the perfect shot, and if I don't, at least I left myself a little room.
Mike, you're correct. He talked about lining up correctly, picking a target, and just using the full tee box to create a wider fairway for yourself. And I'd like to go over a few points to, add to that today, starting with where you line up on the tee box.
Well, that's a good point. You know why? Because most amateurs jump up and they tee it up right in the center of the tee box.
Yeah, they do that, and they also line up right down the middle of the fairway, and that cuts their fairway really in half.
All right, good point. Let's talk about it.
All right, what I'm going to do first is for 90% of our, watchers today, they cut a golf ball. So the first thing I'm going to do is line up on the right-hand side of the tee box. What this does is I can pick out a target now, as here on number 18, I can pick out the left sand trap and play it right off the edge of that bunker, and that's going to give me a 50 to 65 yard fairway that I can hit the golf ball into. Now just the opposite of that is if I draw the golf ball, I'm going to go to the other side of the tee box and I'm going to line up at something on the right edge of the fairway, and what this is going to allow is now I have 40 to 50 yards also that I can draw the ball, and it just widens that fairway to where I really have a lot of room to miss a golf shot when I do hit the misses.
Well, I tell you, and that makes it so much sense because, as we said, most amateurs, they line up right down the middle of the fairway. And now what they've done is they've taken that fairway here on 18, which is probably 50, 60 yards wide, and they've cut it in half to 30 yards. I aim up down the middle of the fairway, I hit a fade, where do I end up? In the right rough or the right woods over there. Pick your target, what Boo's talking about, pick your target and make sure you give yourself enough room, okay, to the right of the target if you're a fader of the ball, that the ball works back into the fat of the fairway. All right, let's also talk about alignment, because I know a lot of amateurs at home, when hitting their driver off the tee, they have a hard time with alignment.
That's correct, Mike. As I said earlier, I'm going to take advantage. Today I'm going to say that I cut a golf ball, and I'm going to line up on the right-hand side of this tee box, and I'm going to pick out my target, which is the left sand trap, so that I can fade it just off of that. Well, when we get into the alignment, you'll see a lot of players, they will get their feet square to that target, but one thing you'll see is their shoulders may be open or closed. The biggest thing we want to see when we talk about alignment is wherever your feet, your hips, and your shoulders, you all want to get working together. So my shoulders, hips, and feet, if I sat here and drew some lines, they would all point to the same spot, and hopefully that is where my target is going to be.
Well, I tell you, that is probably the most important thing. If you're shooting a gun and you're aiming the gun and you shoot it, okay, as long as you're aiming at the target, you're probably going to hit it. Same thing with a golf shot. If you're standing here and you have everything lined up right, okay, and you make that good swing we're talking about, there's a good chance you're going to hit the target you're looking for. And as Boo says, make that target as big as possible. Don't cut it in half. Be target oriented. Pick your target out. All right, pro, let's see you hit the fairway here.
All right, let's see
you hit that little cut out there.
Once again, I'm going to line up just at the left side of that, or right side of that bunker on the left side of the fairway. Get my body working together. Everything lined up together.
Oh, great swing right there. And it did exactly what you said. Your alignment was correct. The ball started on line. He was aiming at the right side of that bunker down there. Ball started there and worked off of that right in the center of the fairway. It's exactly what you did. He picked a target and he worked off that target to the fat part of the fairway. Folks, that's how you hit a driver. Scott, thanks so much for working with us today on the driver. Folks, during this show now, we've got a tremendous, as we talked about at the top of the show, we got a great guest coming up very shortly, Mr. Mahoney.
That's correct.
Who knows a little something about golf because he's played the most rounds in 2007 in our entire nation, right here at Sanctuary Cove. That's impressive. We'll be right back. You're watching Golfer's Guide TV Magazine.